Afternoon all. Mike's on.
Hi there, Mark.
Hello, Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm okay. You still sound like you're congested.
Yeah, I'm still not 100%.
Wow.
Well, like I said, when you get to be my age,
Yeah, you know what I said.
yeah, I know. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Tom.
Good evening.
Hello there.
Hey, Elizabeth. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Are you following Lemoyne College with their switch to Division One, Elizabeth?
Well, I haven't followed sports closely, Tom. I'm sorry to say. However, I'm heading up there for my reunion. It's a reunion year for me. So I'm sure I'll get fully briefed.
Well, the lacrosse team that used to win the Division Two national championships, they won their first game, and then they lost a whole bunch, and they won one other. They have one more game left Saturday, I think, at home against Holy Cross. They only could have 2 home games, and all the other games were on the road. No one would come there.
Wow. Wow.
It'll just take a while.
Yeah, it looks like, they're respectable.
Oh, yeah. They gave
Yeah.
a run for their money into the second half, and
Good.
So I know that Fran is trying to remote in from her car.
Oh,
I
dear.
am voting in from my car. I don't know if you can hear me.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you just came on.
gotcha.
Perfect.
Yep. I'm driving right now, but I should be home in less than 10 minutes.
Okay. And Fran, she refused to take notes and drive at the same time, which
Go.
a little disappointed in her level of commitment, but anyway. So I'll take notes. Dom is aware that the meeting was at 7 tonight, so hopefully he'll be joining us shortly. If not, I know Mike has to leave at 7:30. And and Mike, you're actually you're in charge after Dom, so
Okay. I mean, I can start it off. We'll just figure out where we go.
yeah, so we'll give Dom, if everybody's okay, a couple more minutes, and maybe we can adjust the agenda so we don't keep Lisa and Tom on too late this evening.
Annabelle.
Yeah, Mark, why don't we just go in the agenda? When we get to after section 5, we'll just jump to the Barry Dunn stuff.
Okay. Yeah, we do have a quorum. I mean, if you want to get started, we can
Yeah,
do that.
that sounds good.
Okay. All right. So call to order at 7:03.
All right. I don't really think we need a roll call because we can see everyone on the phone, but anyone that did announce themselves, or any folks that are on the bridge that not commission members attending. I can't see them. Mark, so.
No, panelists, everybody, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, everybody is here.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on to section 3, approval of the meeting minutes. This was for the March minutes. I will ask if there was any questions from any of the commissioners before we vote to approve.
No questions here, Mike.
No questions for me either.
right, does someone want to make a motion to accept them?
Make the motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Somebody
I'll
needs
second.
to, okay.
Anyone, any commissioners objected to accepting the minutes? That'll be our
Oh,
vote.
There's Dom. All right, Dom just joined us.
Can you hear us, Tom?
Looks like he's
Hello.
voting. Yeah, hey, Dom.
Hi, Mark. You can hear me, obviously.
Yes.
Great.
Yep. So, Dom, we started the meeting, we've done roll call, and right now we're in the process of approval of the minutes. We have a first and a second, and are kind of in the discussion stage of the minutes.
Okay. Sounds good.
So Mark, we were just voting on, I'm sorry, we're voting on if you accepting the March minutes. We had a motion, the second, we're just voting to see if everyone's good. So any objections, or everyone just say aye if we're good. I say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to citizens petitions and comments. Mark, we'll start with you if there was any.
No. Nope.
Okay, other commissioners, any comments or feedback?
Yeah, so I did get a text from Fran earlier. She asked, she is relaying a question from, I guess, some students about recycling and what the town does, or what Parks and Recreation does at the golf course, restaurant, senior center, and any other entities under Parks and Recreation. Also, if there's a recycling at all facilities. So we do some recycling. We have we've partnered with ARC to do can recycling at some of our different parks. I think we've got one out in Tanglewood by the disc golf course. There's one at Pequannock Plains Park. There is one down by Esker Point Beach, and I'm trying to think where else. And it's amazing the number of cans that get recycled. They also recycle cans at the senior center. There's a volunteer and people will just drop off cans that aren't even associated with Thrive. And this gentleman picks them up. And the money that we collect, I believe, Elizabeth, right? Doesn't that go into the Club 55? And
Yes,
then that
because that would
money
be-
and then that money is used for
Our
turn
academic
back around
achievement.
for, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Academic
think-
Achievement Awards, yes, for
Yeah, so
Groton citizens.
Yeah, so Thrive gives out, Elizabeth, how many did they give out this year?
This year, we are giving out $3,500
Okay.
in awards, yes.
Okay. So that, I'm not sure if they recycle food scraps at the kitchen at Thrive. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't think they do. And I'm not sure about the part 4, whether they do that there or not.
You're recycling at the community center, though. You have that, I don't know about cans, but you have a recycling setup close to
Yeah.
the gym. So,
Yeah, so that is true. We also have recycling cans in all of our offices, but I can tell you that the recycling and the trash all get dumped in the same container. And so we're not really recycling.
Okay.
And then we do have recycling containers at all of our parks. But the same situation, I'm not paying staff to pick through. If I knew that a recycling container was full of just recyclables, then we could recycle. But I can tell you that the recycling cans get full of trash also, and I'm not paying staff to pick through a recycling barrel to pull out the recycles from the trash. It's a safety issue because, you know, needles and all kinds of things can end up in there. And to me, it's just not worth the risk. The state requires us to put out those barrels. For every trash container, we have to have a recycling barrel. We do that, but we are not currently recycling from those barrels. So it's a mix depending on the facility.
Mark, on
Okay.
in terms of paper product, you know, like
Yeah.
office paper and that sort of stuff, is that because of the contract the town has for trash removal from facilities, that it's not kept separate and recycled?
Yes, that Blackburn is the cleaning service. They empty all of the recycling and I'm sorry, they empty all of the trash and the recycling. And currently it's all going into one container.
The one thing I will say is there is a separate dumpster at Thrive 55 for cardboard.
For the
So we
cardboard,
do know,
yes.
yeah, cardboard is being recycled.
Right, yeah.
As far as composting goes, because that was the main thing the students
Oh,
were
okay.
is that something that we would be interested in starting as a community at least 555 to start and potentially spread to par 4? Because I know there's a lot of food that is dealt with there, and those materials going into the trash obviously could be much better utilized going into compost. And I know that there are gardens at the senior center and possibly other places that might use it. Is that something that you think could potentially be considered in a future? I don't know if it has to go to a budget or whatever our future steps are.
Yeah, I think that's something that we could do. Like you mentioned, Fran, there are gardens at Thrive 55. We also have 2 community gardens, one at Human Services and one at the old Noank School. And I would be surprised at the 2 community gardens if they aren't already composting. But I will check on that and can update everybody on what's taking place as far as composting. And I can check with the Thrive staff also to see if they're composting some of the garden waste. But I'm not sure.
I don't know of any composting going on at present, but we do
Okay.
make use of the seaweed from Esker Point.
Oh, right. Yes,
We're
that's true.
using that to fertilize the gardens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be
Fran-
difficult,
oh,
it might be difficult, Mark, to do composting with the par 4 because they're a private business, I would imagine.
Yeah, and there's also, from what I understand, because we did look at this a couple of years ago, and there are health code regulations with when meat gets involved in meat scraps. The meat scraps can't be mixed in with, you know, like vegetable scraps and things like that. But I will get more information on what we're doing and also look at what we can do further.
And just so you know, Mark, I'm back online so I can take over notes if you want me to.
Oh, if you insist.
You'll have to, and I couldn't tell before who moved for the approval of the minutes. And second, I know it was
Okay.
unanimous, but you can just
Yeah,
spell.
Elizabeth made the motion and Mike seconded it,
Oh, okay.
and it was unanimous approval.
Okay. Great. And I'll take a couple notes on what you just said and we'll be caught up.
Oh, terrific. Okay,
We're
that'd be great.
Petitions, right?
I'm sorry?
We're still under citizens petitions?
Correct.
No, I think Mike, were we down to correspondence and communications?
We were on.
I wasn't
citizens.
quite
It-
sure
it-
where it went
It's
in.
kind of the same.
Okay, yeah, so,
Other
yes.
commissioners, I think we had other commissioners on, kind of feedback, petitions, comments, etc. I mean, it could
I
be
did-
correspondence, communication, same topic, in my opinion.
I did have a citizen regarding the community center who was interested in ping pong. Now I've got a hold of, I didn't get a hold of him, but I texted and emailed Ben and Eileen Chikese about him playing. He played 2 weeks ago and there were 8 people. He was told that they would be charged $5 per person. And when he came back to me, I referred him to the community center, to the rec department. And when he came back to me, he told me that. And he also checked into other places. He's a Mystic resident. And in Waterford, they charge $10 per month to play. And at the senior center, they're charging, now it's not ping pong, but they're playing cornhole for $5 for 8 weeks, which is a similar thing. So I'm hoping that that we hear something soon regarding this. And I just wanted to bring that up here. That's it. That's all I have.
Other commissioners?
Nope.
All right, Mark, the only thing I have for you is, thanks, you answered my question on the Deerfield, the extra park coming in, so thanks for that info. I'll probably reach out to the planning and zoning board to see what's going on there with in general. What about
Okay.
the rest of the park by the Frisbee course and the update of the wood chips? I think we were exchanging some emails, kind of I had probably 6 or 7 neighbors in the community that, you know, two of the commissioners live in, ask about when those are going to get replaced.
Yeah, and I spoke to Tabitha, the manager of Parks and Open Space, and I said, move that up on the priority list.
Okay.
The guys are trying to keep up with mowing right now. Now that the grass is growing like crazy. But we did move that up on the priority list, and we have been filling in chips in different parks. So I would expect in the next week or so, Mike, that will get done.
Perfect, thanks. And feedback is, you know, I played the golf course a couple times recently, and the Frisbee course, people like the new bridges, so good feedback.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
We'll go to town council referrals. I know we kind of jumped in section 4 and 6, but any referrals, Mark?
Well, just the 2 outstanding referrals, and actually Barry Dunn is here to kind of update us on what they're doing with one of the referrals, and that was looking at District 4 and making an assessment of what the town should be doing moving forward in District 4 to try to create a equity in recreational amenities in that district as compared to other districts in town.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe we can kind of jump
Yeah,
ahead.
I think we'll jump to that. And the only question I think I have is town council referrals. I know the CIP projects went to the town. Mark, did you hear back which ones got approved to the next round, or is that something that we're going to share later, or only question the town council area?
Well, I think I noted in the manager's report that the safety netting was cut when we went to the town council. And that was a request for $20,000 to put safety netting behind the lacrosse goals and the soccer goals to protect folks using the walking path or the walking track. They cut that, and then we had also asked for $25,000 to be used as a match for a recreation trails grant that will come out next year. They cut the match, and they said they wanted to wait until we knew that we got the grant before they committed the $25,000. Now, I will tell you that last night, the Parks and Recreation RTM subcommittee met, and they voted to put the $20,000 back in for the safety netting. So that will be a discussion at the full RTM budget meeting, which we're scheduled for Monday, May 13th.
And were all the other projects approved then to proceed forward?
Well, the town manager had cut a number of them.
Yep.
The ones that he left in, with the exception of the safety netting and the $25,000 match, all the others remained. So the council didn't cut any more than those two from what the town manager had already cut.
And none of the town manager cut ones came back in for approval?
No, unfortunately.
I know I had sent the priority list to the town council based on my opinion as the commissioner. One I might have to look at is the canoe one, which I think could generate revenue for the town. So I guess that was not a discussion that came up. So thank you.
Yeah, no.
All right. I propose we move to the Barry Dunn one unless anyone else had any items. Any objections?
No,
Nope.
not at
All right,
all.
we'll move there, Dom. So I have to drop at 7:30 because I'm on business travel. I have to go to a dinner shortly here. So I'll have you take over. Depending on how long the next section goes. Just if we're midsection, I drop off, so you have the ball. All right, over to Barry Dunn, folks. You have the floor.
Right. Mark, did you want to say anything before we begin, or you?
Well, I sent what you sent to me to the commission today.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they've had a chance to review it, but as everyone remembers, we worked with Barry Dunn on the recreational needs assessment, which was part of the recreation master plan. There was also a level of service analysis that was done, and we received the council referral a couple of months ago to address what they believe to be is a disparity in recreational amenities in District 4, which is the northwest corner. And so Barry Dunn is coming back and doing some work, and this is kind of their first draft of their park analysis.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Right. Well, it's great to see some of your faces again. Always enjoyed spending time with you folks up in Groton. As you all know, it's a previous experience a couple different times around, and Tom's with me here, and Tom and I both worked on the master plan and the needs assessment. So the document that you all have, Mark did reach out to us in reference to this council request or referral. And so we have been spending some time going through the statistically valid survey results for District 4, which are the items that are outlined on the document that Mark shared. And you can see here that a variety, I don't know that we need to go through all of them. I'm just going to kind of give you a high level representation, but most of the folks have lived in that area, that specific area, which really on the survey, it was West Pleasant Valley is what it's labeled. And Mark and John Reiner had approached us from that perspective and the idea of the old Pleasant Valley School. So you can see that 42% of the respondents have lived in Groton 20 plus years in that area, and then 49 have lived in the area for between 1 to 5 years. I was gonna,
You're not sharing anything, are you, on the screen?
I wasn't. Do you guys
Okay,
have
no,
that
I
pulled
just
up
wanted to
or?
make sure, I just want to make sure that you weren't, that's all.
Yeah, no, because I think Mark said that
Yes.
they each have it, right? The satisfaction of the parks in that area is right about a 3.3 out of a 5. And then the programming, similar 3.4. And then really the satisfaction of facilities in that whole district is at a 2.8. And then going through what those folks use, the households within the D4 area prefer 74% at the walking and jogging pedestrian pathways. Restrooms are important, and picnic shelters, a dog park, and then hiking trails, playgrounds, and potentially an indoor gymnasium at some point, I guess, is what they were hoping are important. Going down to the top 5, where they were narrowed down for their level of importance, it reverts to trails and pathways. So you start to see some consistency. Open space and natural areas, and then the neighborhood parks, water access for swimming, and then neighborhood events and festivals. Excuse me. Those future needs that were identified were a new aquatic facility or an indoor pool, improving access to natural bodies of water, performing arts type of a venue, facility, rehearsal spaces, increased trail and pathway connectivity. This is an interesting statistics, but it says 100% of households have a need for ADA accessible facilities and services within that area. That seems a little high to me, but I don't know the community as well as you all do, and it might mean at different levels of accessibility. 64% of the residents in the area own dogs, and then 100% of them speak Spanish, Hispanic, or are Latino origin.
Lisa, excuse me, but
Yeah.
because I live in District 4,
Sure.
that struck me as
Odd.
impossible. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Tom and I might need to go back to just to reevaluate that. They have it marked on the actual document as the 100% up on the breakdown of each of the districts, and I can show you. I think I have this survey pulled up as well. Let me share my screen, Elizabeth, so that you can kind of see. Okay, now I need to figure out how to move my menu away so I can, there it goes. Okay, so let me see if I could try to make it a little bit larger for you all. So these are the areas where it's broken down by the actual locations by areas. So this is the column this is the column, the West Pleasant Valley area, right? Where we were looking and reviewing the data. So when you're going through here, this is basically some of these, it looks like a lot of folks did not put an answer in District 4 in the West Pleasant Valley box, but then in some of them it says 100%. So for instance, what is the sub base is at 100% and the average is 9.5. So I'm not a statistician. I'm not sure how they come up with some of these numbers, but I think I'd like to go back, and Tom, you maybe can elaborate here if you can elaborate any more. Let me get down to some of those other ones where we were looking. It's primarily those few, right, Elizabeth, that seemed a little odd.
Yes.
The demographics and the speaking Spanish and Latino at 100%. See, you can barely see this here, but it says 100% where my mouse is circling. But then again, if you look through it, there's nothing in that particular box. So we just need to clarify that. And then if you look here at bridge, there's nothing in the box, but it's at 99%. No, I'm sorry, that's at a different, that's on the
That was a
question
different area,
three.
right?
Yeah, that's question 3 in a different area, yeah. So we'll just clarify that a little bit more. I don't know that that's really that impacting on, you know, what the objective is here. I mean, it is to a certain degree. We want to know how many people are actual residents of the community. And then how many might have a need for that, for accessibility needs with disabilities. That makes sense. So we'll kind of backtrack on that and see if we can get any more clarification. And then what we did is we went through, Mark has shared, I'm gonna share my screen again with you because it's probably a lot easier to see from this map than it is the one that you might have, or from the screen than it is the one that you might have in front of you once I enlarge it. Well, everything always gets in the way when you're trying to share something, right? Okay, so the town provided this map for us because we wanted to see the breakdown in the property. So I'll just go down to the key at the bottom. So this little blue circle signifies a playground. The red circle signifies some type of recreational amenities, courts, fields, picnic, pools, etc. The lighter green, like here at the cemetery, represents open space, but it's poorly accessible. There's no amenities at those locations, cemetery, etc. The darker green, which you can see here at the bottom, at the boat ramp, represents open space, highly accessible to public with amenities. White areas are non-residential parcels, basically commercial farm, vacant, etc. The light tan, which you go up here, you see near Mary Morrison, that's all town-owned land, non-open space. And then the purple represents residents and apartments, and then the light blue is all navy. So when we were evaluating this map, we can see there's a ton of, I'll zoom out a little bit, it's a ton of light blue, right? As you guys know, you live in the community where there's a lot of naval ownership. So we met with Mark and John last week, I think, and you can see here, this is the big circle, and it says a 1/4 mile buffer around Pleasant Valley School. Mark, do you have any, what does that mean? What does the buffer represent for the town?
I think that's an area that is a 10-minute walk to the school.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So let me back up to zoom out a little bit. You can see, if you remember, I mentioned that the open space areas are this dark green where the boat ramp is, and then you have Nautilus Overlook. So any form of open space that the town owns that would be potentially a park are those 2 facilities. So certainly there is a disparity within the area. All of the blue circles and the red circles represent Navy opportunities for recreation. Whether it's a field, whether it's courts, whether it's a playground, you can see a majority of those are on naval property, with the exception up here at Charles Barnum, where you have some public facilities there, excuse me, and then down by Mary Morrison here. So this upper left corner is certainly, shall I say, a recreation desert. You hear food deserts, right? Maybe a recreation desert somewhat, where there's just not a lot of activity or opportunity for the general public. So looking at that, and then following our meeting with Mark and John last week, we were, and Mark, I assume this is knowledge, right? Where the star is here. This is, that's,
I can't see the star.
let me zoom in a little bit. This piece
Oh,
of
yeah,
property
so-
here.
Yeah, so that is the most recently acquired parcel, open space parcel for the town. I think it's 20 acres. It's Maple Glen, I think. Yeah, that is the most recent parcel that the town has acquired.
So when we originally had our first conversation with John and Mark, they, had asked us to see what from our previous data collection and level of service of what areas we felt, and what kind of concepts and opportunities would be in existence. So obviously we don't want to duplicate services if there's something available, but obviously there's not much available within the areas. So, yep, go ahead, Elizabeth.
The boat ramp that is on the lower left of the diagram,
Right.
it's
here.
a state boat ramp, and it's been closed for several years now. So it's
Okay. It's not even
not viable.
Okay.
That's by the bridge, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
That's
I think that's closed because due to bridge construction and
Construction or whatever,
maintenance.
yeah.
And I think it's going to be closed. The state is about to start a project on the bridge that, from my understanding, is going to go from 2025 to 2029.
Mhm.
One of the positive outcomes when it's done is it's either a 10 or 12-foot wide multi-use path running adjacent to the bridge. It will be separated by the fence. It will only be on the southbound side. But it will be a positive addition. But anyway, getting back to that boat launch, that's been closed because of construction and
Gotcha.
maintenance.
Yep. So we take this information. What our plan is to take this information that we have here, look at the information that we received that we just went over from the survey results, and really kind of make some recommendations of what the town should consider for recreational opportunities. We're not really going to specify a location. It's really up to the town to really decide that. But we do know, John and Mark wanted to share that this new property was available, as well as the Pleasant Valley School. There's obviously a lot to still be done and considered, whether or not that becomes phase one of a 20-acre facility, such as this up here where the star is, or of the Pleasant Valley School. But those are kind of what we are leaning towards on what that information was. So obviously trails, sidewalks, maybe not any type of aquatic facility, but maybe just a splash pad or something, that would still fulfill those needs.
Waiting pool.
Yeah, waiting pool, right? So we're still evaluating all that, and we won't present any concept drawings. That's not part of the scope, but we'll provide some examples of other areas and other instances of like maybe a 2 to 5 acre tract of land and what could fit on that, as far as the concept goes. So that's basically what kind of questions do you guys have for me or for Tom and I?
So I just have a question regarding the population there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
was any study done of the the amount of Navy population versus the non-Navy residents of the area?
Right. So basically the survey was broken down by areas for the center of Groton, the city of Groton, Groton Long Point, Mystic, Noank, Quantic Bridge, Subbase, West Pleasant Valley, and then an overall summary. So we didn't do any clear demographical dive into how many naval families are in that area or anything like that. We just went based on what the survey, which was randomly selected and mailed to residents within those areas.
Yeah.
And Dom, I'm not sure that was actually a question on the survey. There was demographic there were a number of questions that got to demographics, but I
Yeah,
don't, I'd have to go back and look at the survey to see if there was a question, is your family, part of Navy housing? I'm not sure that
Yeah.
question
I
was
don't
asked
believe
in the
that was a
survey.
question mark.
No,
Yeah, I don't think
I
so
didn't
either.
think so.
No.
No,
Yeah.
no, the only reason, Mark, is I could understand why the rec department hasn't in the past put a lot of recreation money into that area was because of the heavy position of the naval area and all the facilities that they afford their military people. That was all I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
I think what's important to realize is that 3 schools used to exist in this district that have been closed. And so that eliminated play areas, playground equipment, all of that. That was the first problem. And the other issue that we're facing is that very large development going on the site of the William Seeley School. And so surely that's going to have an impact because that will be private residence, not Navy.
That's a good point, Elizabeth. I think the Mary Morrison, though, if I'm not mistaken, there still is a playscape there, not to mention 2 distinct fields that would be open to the public. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct, Mark?
Yes, that while the school is closed,
Right.
the playground does exist and the fields exist.
Yeah.
And so right now that is available. I think the challenge is that's on the east side
East.
of Route 12, and to Elizabeth's point, William Seeley School and Pleasant Valley are on the west side, and William Seeley's school is no longer, and that's where the 300 or so units are going in, and so there's only one school kind of property left, and that's Pleasant Valley.
Mark, can
Yes.
you walk me, well, gosh, there we go. Can you tell me where, I see Mary Morrison, what were the other schools in Pleasant Valley?
Yeah,
And
so
Charles Bonham.
and Charles
Yeah,
Barnum,
up here, right.
Yeah.
Now, the new development will be going,
It is, let's see.
Can you make it a little bigger, Lisa?
Yeah, can you zoom in
Thank you.
and then
sure,
drop down? Yeah, pull it up so it's going further south.
that's
There
a
you
start.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is, well, it actually might be right where your
Right here,
cursor is, yeah, because it's right
Okay.
off the highway.
gotcha, okay. So that's
So
still that's pretty far south, but there's nothing down there either.
Yeah.
Few little parcels of town-owned land.
Right. Yeah, well, actually, is purple town-owned
Purple,
land?
no, purple is residence and apartments. The
Oh, okay.
tan, this tan here and here, they're like little triangles,
Oh,
corners.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so it could be that
could be
parcel
this.
right in there that was Williams
Yeah, William Seeley.
Seeley.
Yeah, because it overlooks the approach to the bridge,
Right. Yeah.
because you can see it from Route 12.
Yeah, so when when we're looking at this map and you see all this purple, that's all residential. So you can
Yeah.
see where the growth, and of course the blue, but the blue is the Navy. So we're probably the town is gonna make the decision on where it goes. We just know that it's within the District 4 area. I'm sure they'll get input from folks like you and upon recommendations.
I pulled up the survey and there were no questions about Navy housing or if you were in the Navy. anything
Yeah.
like that. It's just,
Okay.
gender, age, type of household, owner, rent, voter, ADA, own a dog.
Yeah. Okay. So that really is kind of where we are at this point in the process. And we have kind of some ideas, but we're looking at basically what we want to make sure we're recommending what the folks in the community want, not just coming up with something we just pull out of the air. If that information was shared with us on the surveys, those are folks who have obviously have a concern or an interest in seeing those items.
And I can tell you, because I was asked to be part of the focus group on the Complete Streets project,
Mhm.
that I mentioned it to a few people just to see, what thoughts they had. And there actually is a neighborhood group who is very interested in being involved in any planning. These are people who own small homes in the area and have
Mhm.
children in the school system. So, I think they're going to be here for a while.
Yeah. Make a note of that, Mark. That's your support group right there.
There we go.
Yep.
So that's basically all I have. I don't know if anybody wants to chat longer or ask me any other questions, but I'll clarify those, some of that demographic information, Elizabeth, that you mentioned, and that kind of raised a flag for me too when I was looking at that data. And we'll get that kind of squared away, but still, we want to focus on what the main goal is here, and that's to provide an overall service opportunity and amenity for you all in that area. Okay, Mark,
Well, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thanks, Dominic. Mark, do you have anything else for us?
No, not this evening.
Okay, not this evening. Uh-oh,
Yeah.
guess we'll get a call.
Hedging his bets.
That's right. Well, you guys have a good evening, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lisa.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks.
Tom.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, it appears, Mark, that that you're taking the role. It's the director report.
Okay. And I think we've lost Mike, so Dom,
We got it.
You're driving the ship. So I mentioned the RTM subcommittee. We met with them last night to go over the budget, and I already mentioned that they had put back the $20,000 for the safety netting. There were no other. They supported the council's recommendation for the budget, so there's at this point been no cuts to the operating budget for either the golf course, the special revenue fund, or the tax-supported fund. We do go to the full RTM on Monday, May 13th. So we'll see what happens then. Elizabeth mentioned Complete Streets, and we did have a workshop a couple of weeks ago. The FHI studios were there with some really big maps. I think there was a really great discussion about trying to improve connectivity and identifying different areas. And they were going to take all of that information back with them. And there was representatives from the planning department, from Public Works, Parks and Recreation, economic development, and they also got in a gentleman who bikes through Groton every single day to go to work in New London. So every day he rides across the bridge, and so he had some insight into thoughts about areas that we could improve connectivity. The next step, there'll be a series of 5 different focus groups that will take place over the next couple of months, and then there'll be a big public meeting where everyone will be invited, and either they can put down sticky notes or dots and just look at kind of the conceptual plans and provide more feedback. All of this is towards the process of coming up with kind of a master plan for improving connectivity in Groton. One other, excuse me, one other item that I did want to point out, and I don't know if any of you follow the department on Instagram. We have partnered with the high school track team, and every Wednesday post kind of tips for runners. We're trying to encourage more people to participate in our 5K runs. And we're using the high school athletes. They speak about proper stretching and things like that. And the whole idea is to try to, like I said, move somebody from the couch out onto the street to do a 5K run. And this is getting geared up towards the Tour de Noank. I do want to say that is a challenging race because of Brook Street. You're going from Route 217 all the way up to Groton Long Point Road, and that hill can make or break you. So yeah, but you can always walk. And once you get to the top, it's all downhill all the way to Esker Point. So I just wanted to share that with you in case you weren't aware of that. It's something that I think is kind of unique. And I like the collaboration that Elizabeth and Clayton have done in order, they've gone out and actually videoed the athletes, and the athletes talk about, yeah, this is the proper way to stretch, or, warm up, cool down, and running techniques and things like that. So hopefully it will encourage more people to get out and participate in the Tour de Noank, which is coming up in June.
So then when they're, I think it's a great idea, and that you should be commended for it. How do you take those videos, and where do the videos go to? I mean,
Yeah, so
how do you motivate the public?
Well, they get posted on Instagram,
Oh.
and I think also on Facebook.
Oh.
I'm not on Facebook, but I do follow the department on Instagram, and
Okay.
we've been posting those over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully it will encourage, and we're encouraging people to get out and not even necessarily run it, but just walk the course. Because it is nice. It goes right down into Noank and right by the water, and there's some really, really nice views.
Sure.
Yep. So that was that was it for the director's report.
Okay. And I'm going to speak about the trails just for a moment, Mark.
Okay.
Your guys did an outstanding job on the trails up at the conservation area.
Sparkle Lake. Yeah.
Oh gosh, they did a wonderful job there, and
Oh, good.
yeah, and so I want to thank you and commend the crew for doing that. So anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I will share that.
Good. So moving right along, nothing on athletic fields or golf course, or we all set there?
Well, just quickly, the surveying has all been done for the athletic fields, and that's at Gloucester, Sutton Park, and up at the high school. And right now, they're working on conceptual designs, and that's going to take a couple of months. Once they had the surveying information and they knew exactly what they had to work with, they are going to start working on the conceptual plans, and I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I think those are supposed to be done in June. And then at that time, we'll go to the town council to show the conceptual plans, and also have a discussion about the type of field surface, whether it's synthetic or natural. And that will be a discussion that takes place with the council, because based on council recommendations, that could change some of the conceptual plans for the fields. And I think that meeting is scheduled for the first council meeting in July. The golf course play continues to be robust. We did make some changes to the reservation system, pushed out season pass holders can register 7 days in advance, non-season pass holders 6 days in advance. It's pretty much all online now, and all of those things are working very smoothly, and have had no issues with reporting or what's really nice now is, members used to have to start calling at 4 in the afternoon and maybe had to make 20 phone calls before they got through. Now they can just go right online, and the system processes all of these requests simultaneously, and T-sheets are getting filled. And I talked to the golf pro today, and he said things are working really smoothly. So.
Did you make a change in the software, Mark, or was it a case of
Yeah,
aligning
no,
things?
we did not change software. There was some tweaks that needed to be made. We brought in the IT. There's a new IT director for the town, and he's been very helpful in kind of taking the steps necessary for us to get to where we needed to be.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, and the other change that they've made is the credit card reading machine and the registration software. There was a couple of extra steps that we were having to take. That has all been now reduced, so you can take an online registration, swipe the card, and things are processing is much quicker. There's probably 4 or 5 fewer steps, and it's just much easier. So,
Oh, great.
yeah, yep.
So, Mark, it's Jim. Does that mean that they didn't have to withhold issuing new yearly memberships? Remember, they were thinking we had too many.
Yeah, so at this point, they are not withholding memberships because right now, members are able to book tee times and get on the course. So at this point, we're not restricting memberships.
Okay. So they're not taking any more calls or reservations?
You still can call if you prefer, but most people have switched to the online system.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And Don, the Trails Coordinating Task Force, there was no, they only meet quarterly, so I don't have any updates.
Okay. Athletic fields?
Yeah, just like I said, the surveying is done. They're
Right.
working on the conceptual plans.
Okay,
And there'll be something, I think there's a schedule to be completed in June, and there'll be a presentation to the council, the first council meeting in July, which I think is July 2nd.
okay. So unfinished business, we already heard from Barry and Dunn.
Yeah.
New business.
I don't believe there is any new business.
Okay.
I have-
Any of the
Whoops.
commissioners?
I had a question from someone about the remaining
Oh,
playground equipment at Claude Chester. Is that usable at all, Mark?
there are 3 units there. One which was the newest unit built right next to the building.
Mhm.
That is the most usable. We're not intending on moving that. The other two are, the condition that they're in would take a considerable investment to bring those up to a point where they're safe.
Mhm.
So right now, we're not looking at moving those to any other locations. They're pretty old playgrounds. They, there's a lot of maintenance work that needs to be done in order to bring them up to a level of safety that we would want the public using, and that's why we've got fencing around the two to discourage people from using it.
So the playground unit that is close to the building, and I would say kind of faces Route 1 is the current,
Yes.
is the most modern, most up
Yes,
to date unit?
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
that was put in about 2 years before the school closed. Well, it was designed, I think it was in an area of the school where there was exterior doors for the younger kids, maybe kindergarten, first grade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember seeing the younger children out there, yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and Dom, I did just want to bring you up to date. We are going to the planning department. We have a meeting with the planning department on Friday to review the plans for the pickleball courts.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're still looking for, Public Works has said the month of June, they would be able to commit to getting the pickleball, doing the work necessary to get the pickleball courts in.
So Mark, I noticed, and I was gonna have a question for you in the new business, but
Yeah.
regarding the rink,
Yeah.
as you're resurfacing the rink, at what time do you start, or do the contractors start doing the electric for their lighting and the lighting for the pickleball courts?
Yeah, that all needs to be coordinated.
Okay.
And we've got to get through planning approval first.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and then Public Works will, like, okay, we need to dig, we'll bring Musco in, which is the company that we're using for lighting. They'll have a set of plans, so Public Works will know exactly the trenching that needs to be done. We don't want to disrupt any of the work that's already been done at the ice rink, at the hockey rink. So, we'll have to trench around,
Yeah.
and the poles have already been, the location of the poles lighting poles have already been determined, and it will just be a matter of, trenching and pouring foundations and those kinds of things.
So is the Public Works Department like the general contractor on that whole project?
Yes, they are going to be doing a lot of the installation. Probably not the lights. Musco Lighting will be, putting up the lights, but the utility work, getting to the lights, the trenching certainly will be done. We'll probably have to bring in a contractor to, make the connections, because that would require a licensed electrician. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was a nice update. Any new business? Folks, no? Yes? Okay, our next meeting date?
Is May 22nd at 4 o'clock at Spicer House.
At Spicer House, okay.
And this is an in-person meeting so that the commission can meet the staff and staff can meet the commission.
Fantastic. Sounds
Yep.
like a plan.
Hey, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
On agenda, there is a voting box under the Barry Dunn facility study discussion. Is there something that we're supposed to vote on there? Or is
Oh,
there?
no, Fran, when I set that up, I should have deleted that box.
Oh,
So,
okay. to make sure we
Yeah.
weren't. That we were
And
looking.
yeah,
tonight.
I'll take it out. I'll take it out. Once you send me the minutes, I can take that out. Is there a box under adjournment?
Yes, there is.
Oh, there is. Okay. All right. I was thinking maybe I put it in the wrong place, but if there's one under adjournment, because we usually have a motion and a second to adjourn, so.
Before we
Okay.
do that, I just would like to have a little public service announcement about the Club 55 flea market, which will be held on May 11th at 5:55. And at present, we are gratefully accepting donations. If you're doing spring cleaning, think of Club 55.
Okay,
Thus concludes my
All right.
PSA.
thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, do we have any motions at this time for adjournment?
I will motion.
Oh,
Okay, we have one on the floor. Any
and I'm
Any
seconding it.
fantastic, and obviously nothing else along with that, so we'll see everybody on May 22nd at 4
That's-
o'clock
That's Spicer House.
Okay.
Yep.
at the Spicer House.
In person.
Yes. In
In
person.
person, wow.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night.
Um,
Mark, you recognize the room.
I did. Yeah. It looks great.
Take care.
All right. You too. Night.